At this time, we'll call a special city council meeting for Monday, June 24th, 2019, at 8 a.m. to order. First item on the agenda is to consider approving the appointment of Audrey Shandman to the position of Economic Development Director, Assistant City Manager. I'm going to run this a little different than I have in the past. For one thing is, in the past, I always let my city councilmen talk because they represent the wards. Today, I'm going to do the talking. And I'll give them a chance at the end. I appreciate everybody for coming, the comments, the concerns, and everything else. I've heard them all. I was up north fishing. I got a call what took place at the meeting, and immediately text back and asked Chris to set up a special meeting. I do not want to delay this process. I firmly believe in the process we used in the decision making. And I appreciate everybody here, but I'm not going to give you a chance to talk. I've heard it all, pros, cons, everything. My decision was not based on anybody from the public. My decision was based on the true interview process that we used. And the process, whether you believe in it or don't believe in it, we had approximately 16 candidates. We broke those candidates down with the personnel committee and stuff down to approximately 3. Interviewed those 3 people. And in the process, at the end, we made a few comments. Of course, I had another commitment, so I had to leave. We got back together the next day, had time to think about it, talk over our concerns and stuff. And I feel we selected the best person. We looked at, as far as education, everything. This person was the person we were looking for. The criteria was met. The decision on hiring, go to the outside or hiring somebody within, we always understand that anytime you work in the public entity, people have comments one way or the other, positive, negative, and that was a possibility. We realized that. But we thought, and I not say thought, I know we made the right decision. We took the right person. We got somebody that's been with the city for 8, not the city, but within the community for 8 years, and that's going to stay. We could hire somebody from the outside that's never been here. Some of the applicants that applied haven't been any place for 2 years. We want somebody that's willing to stay and represent our community. Maybe she did not please everybody throughout the years. I don't please everybody either, and I don't care if I do or not, because I was elected by the people, and if the people don't want me, they can take care of that part. But by God, I think we did the right thing. I appreciate Dave's concern and Larry's concern to putting it off, like I say, until I got here, so it can be a decision made by the full council. But truly, I believe the right decision was made. I have heard from businesses, large, small, everything, positive. I have heard more positives than negatives. So that supports my thinking. And I don't want to drag this thing out. I think the right decision is being made. The other thing is she's hired at will. Sorry, Audra, but if something doesn't work out and things don't go, that's just the way life is. But I don't think that's going to happen. I really believe. In the interview, either she's a real good talker or whatever, but she said everything that I wanted to hear. What she can do for the community, what the community can go, the direction the community is going. And I know Lisa sat in there with me. Us do represent the city council on the personnel committee. So all we brought back to the city council for us to approve our recommendation. But I understand, like I say, what took place, why they asked to postpone it. But anyway, my recommendation again is going to be to approve the position and go on with life. So if anybody else has anything on the city council that would like to add to it, you're welcome to add to it. But
we're going to have an opportunity to maybe ask the HR manager for any questions in regards to how the interviewing process went, and how, or are we just going to say go to accepting the position, or how are?
well, I don't know what more
How
she
much-
can tell you than what I can tell you. We were all there. Lisa can tell you. I think the process worked. She set up a spreadsheet for the approximately 16 candidates that we had. She went through the spreadsheet, in front of Lisa and I. And in that process, we could see the candidates, how they filled out, whether they had the education and requirement, the bachelor's degree and all this kind of stuff. And from that, then we went and we picked 3 candidates. We had probably, I'm gonna lie, maybe 6 that met the criteria that we were really looking for. And we took the top 3, and that's what we went out to interview. So,
How do you feel about the educational and the finance end of it and the budget? And, you know, we've got multiple
Well-
unions to work with and, you know,
Yeah.
factors of that and a matter of how many people we've,
yes, yeah. Based on what you're saying there, Larry, my opinion is, and Lisa made that the last time when Chris was hired, integrity, personality, honesty, and a lot of those traits, in my book, rate higher than experience. I can teach you something, but I'm not going to be able to give you that integrity and the personality and everything else that goes with the position. I'll be honest, when we hired Chris, could we have found somebody else with more experience? Probably so, but I think we got the best person with personality. When we interviewed him, and he gave his 15-minute speech, he blew me out of the seat. He knew more about New Ulm and the surrounding communities than I even did almost. Not nice to say, but he did. He researched. He knew what he was getting into, and I really appreciate that. When you look at candidates in interview, you can tell if somebody's really interested or not. And Audra, she didn't have to research. She's here. She knows a lot, and I think that's a big positive. As far as Chris, I'm not worried about it, be able to teach her a lot to do with their finance, and far as I'm sure she has finance because of budgets for the, but going to be a little different scale, I agree. But I really believe that with Chris and Audra, with his background and her background, I think there's a lot of positives.
like I say, I have a lot of concerns, you know, if something happens to Chris, you know, and then she has to step in as the number one, you know, that she's got the training and government experience and the finance experience and the educational and the background to manage a couple hundred employees and to keep the city on budget and track. And, you know,
I think-
I'm not questioning her
Right.
enthusiasm. I mean, I have nothing personally against her. I haven't had to work with her, you know, in regards. She's always treated me great. But end of the day, we have a city to run, you know, and, you know, and I'm just concerned about checks and balances and how we're going to operate day to day. And, you know, another concern is, you know, this position is supposed to be appointed by Mr. Dalton, his assistant, if I'm correct by the city charter. Right, Roger?
This is a question, Mr. President, Council, this is a question that's been put to me since the last meeting. It's covered by Section 75 of the city charter, and that describes the city manager's duties, and it indicates that he generally is responsible for hiring all city employees. It does say that directors' positions are subject to approval by the council. So the question is this a director's position? That term isn't defined in our charter. The only department heads, rather, the only departments that are really in that part of the charter are the police department and the fire department. We have other departments. As you, Councilor Mack, has pointed out, this position would be the person presumably who's going to be running the city of New Ulm and the New Ulm Public Utilities if our city manager is unavailable. And because of that, I think it would be considered a department head. I think it is appropriate for the council to be approving the decision on the hiring of this person.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can kind of speak to, you had a question, or kind of question, you know, would she be able to step in and take over? She has a business administration degree. And she's worked in, like, the chamber. She's been the CEO of the chamber for the last 8 years. So there's budgets, there's staff to manage. Is this a larger scale? It is, but I think we have a lot of good department heads, just as Chris has been supported by department heads. Chris never had a staff of 100 before he started taking over and doing this job either. I mean, he did economic development. So in speaking for myself, I too have spoken to a lot of people. The conversations that I've had, that people that have concerns, we've had some very good conversations, and I've stressed to them what I look for when I go out and sitting on a panel of hiring somebody. And Audra isn't new to the community, so I really have watched Audra kind of work in her job, and I've always been very impressed by how she's handled herself. I've gone on a business visit with her, and I was very impressed how she worked with that business. I have seen her take some tough situations and mediate stuff. So that's my take on Audra. I've never had an issue, and I've seen how she's run some of the things that she's done for the chamber, and I've always thought of her as kind of one of those mainstays in the community that would fit well into this job. That's my take, and I felt when we went through the process that in looking at the 3 candidates that we interviewed, that she would be a good fit. So that's my take. And like I said, I've had conversations with people on both sides of the issue, and I explained to them, and they too, we may disagree. We're never always going to all agree, but they could understand where I was coming from. So, and I appreciate that. The other issue, as far as the process, it's the same process we went through when we hired Chris. We as a personnel committee felt we wanted to be a little bit more involved just because it is such a major position, and that was done when Brian was here, and there was no issue with it at that time, so we thought we would take that same process this time, and so that's what I have to say, I guess.
Charlie?
Go ahead.
Several people have come to me that have heard a rumor, and we all know what rumors are like, but I just have to ask this question. Was one of the candidates eliminated because you said that person lied? And that was the only reason that person was eliminated?
I will not say that that's the only reason he was eliminated. He did not per se lie. He just did not fill out his application resume, honestly. Let's just put it that way. And was that the reason he was? Not probably exactly, but it weighed heavily on my decision, because I don't believe in, I personally believe in honesty, and if somebody is not honest up front from the beginning, I don't know how I could ever deal with that person for anything within the city. So to me, that was a major point, right or wrong. If you can't fill out your resume and be honest, I personally, if I'd have known it ahead of time, I would have never interviewed him. But you got to be honest. That's what life is about.
I know I sit as the chamber rep and have for the last 6 years with Audra, and I mentioned this last time that, I worked very closely with Ms. Shaneman on many projects, many heavy decisions. I've always appreciated her integrity, her honesty, her hard work, her dedication, professionalism, and this is the right position for her. It's a different position than what she was at before, and you have to look at those qualities. I know Chris has already lined up training that is appropriate for Ms. Shaneman as she moves on in this position, just as Chris did when he started. I think they're going to make a great team. I think they're going to work well for our city and move us forward. So I'm really excited about the future of our city with this combination.
Okay, being I was the last one here, I apologize for being late.
You got a reason?
I'm glad I made it here. Almost had to run up here, but being the one, I was the one that did want the full city council here to make this decision. I myself, too, have talked to a lot of people, the pros and cons, what their concerns were and whatnot. My biggest basis is going to be sitting down with our city manager. He wishes to move forward with the process. Let's just keep the ball rolling. So that's going to kind of tell you which way I'm going to go. He wants to move forward.
Hearing that, I'm going to offer the motion as proposed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Audra Shaneman to the position of Economic Development Director, Assistant City Manager, effective July 5th, 2019. Any more discussion from the council? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No.
Call the roll, please.
Yep. Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
No.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Next item on the business, item number 2 is Economic Development Assistant City Manager offer of employment. I guess you got that in front of you. I don't know if Shauna has anything to add to it. I guess I had some concerns that I relayed to Les since I wasn't going to be able to attend the council meeting. And the only thing that I see in there, and I don't know what the decision was or whatever, if Shauna knows as far as the vacation time?
I think my concern, Mr. President, was when Chris was hired as the Assistant City Manager, it was in range 6 to 7, and the current offer was 5 to 6, and I just think they should be equal. The position's the same. So that was my recommendation, that these two positions are equal and the same. They should have the same vacation, come in at the same vacation rate.
It says in here 4 to 3, or 3 to 4, or 4 to 5.
4 to 5. And it should be 6 to 7, in my opinion. They should come in at the same rate. We shouldn't be treating that position differently.
I have a question. I don't remember when Mr. Dalton started as our economic development. His was,
6 to 7.
okay.
So I want them to be the
That's,
same.
are we the same?
Yeah,
You said
6 to
the
7.
positions are the same. I thought you meant city manager. and-
No, when he came in as Assistant City
Gotcha.
Manager. Those positions, in my opinion, should be the same. They shouldn't be treated any different.
Yeah, but he also left a major employer after 8 to 10 years and came from California and
But
maybe
as Assistant City Manager level position, it's not experience and salary. That you figure out in the salary. This is a vacation amount based on that level of a position.
already negotiated,
Could have.
you know, on that aspect.
I just don't think we treat people differently.
I understand that, but it's about negotiating whether you want to accept the job upon, you know, if you've got equal vacation, you know, leaving one employer to come to another, and it's negotiable on a salary position for levels.
I guess I think it's a very small change, and I don't think it's worth arguing, and I think that we should maybe have more of a standard when it comes to vacation, what we're going to offer in vacation. Because, I mean, salary and what range they start at definitely is subjective, but we want to treat people the same coming in and some of those benefits,
And then
so.
just a quick comment on the vacation. It is based on experience. So if you're a new employee, you literally start at the 0 to 1 year rate.
That's
So
true.
that's what factors into the difference in vacation rates, or how you accrue them based on experience in the workplace.
Yep, Mr. President, I think is a matter of, and our HR director could probably speak to this with more experience than me, but generally when you're looking at terms for hiring a new employee, something like a vacation benefit is dependent primarily upon the person's experience. If we were bringing in an assistant city manager who had been a city manager in another town for 20 years, I think you'd be looking at more vacation. In this case, Ms. Shanaman doesn't have any background or, experience there, so that's usually what drives that. It's not so much what the last person received, it's what is this applicant's experience. So that's generally, I think, when you're looking at hiring, that's the determinative factor.
Yeah, I'm not going to jump up and down about it, but I do think that it's a level that you have your upper management level, that they should be treated the same as they come into a director, assistant director, manager, assistant manager level role, that should be at a set amount versus based on experience. I disagree with you, but that's just my opinion.
My 2 cents on that is, you had an employment offer letter. Discussing it right now to me is, okay, the applicant was willing to accept that on June 11th, we move forward.
Yeah, you know,
I want to renegotiate. There's what the negotiation was. Let's move forward.
yeah, I maybe take my comment back there. I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think it is it's generally negotiated
Right.
in the
That's my take on
business
it.
world. Yeah, that's true.
That's my take on it too, because it's a signed letter that she's
Mm-hmm.
willing to take the position with
Yeah,
this rate.
it's not a major change, like
Right.
Lisa said, there's not, but I just think, my opinion was that we treat those positions fairly, but looks like I'm in the minority there.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the offer as stands.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? I guess I got one for Roger. I'd like to have him explain to me the difference of probation and at-will. In the contract, it says you got 6 months probation, after which you'll become a full-time employee at will.
Well, the at-will just means that there's not a contract. So if the council, or I guess if Chris, at any time were to decide that there would have to be action taken to terminate the employee, he could do that. So there's not a contract that would guarantee employment, and that could be done at any time. I think the probationary period is something to put the employee on notice, whoever it might be, that this is a situation where, you know, your job performance will be reviewed, and if there are issues, it's to let the person know that, you know, they're going to have to perform, and just so that they understand that they're going to be evaluated presumably after the 6 months, and a decision will be made to keep them or to take some action.
Okay. Just want to clarify. Thank you. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. With no more business, meeting adjourned.